Partnership. I also work for Newcastle City Council, and today I'm going to talk to you about the frontline service, which is waste management. Everyone uses bins on a daily basis, everyone produces waste. So how do we effectively collect waste from 1.2 million households in the northeast? It doesn't just happen, you know. We plan this, and we do some work about this using GIS, using an application called RouteSmart, and this produces efficiencies and results. We know exactly how many vehicles we need to provide the service. A few little pictures there, how we used to do things. Horse and cart was the original idea of collecting people's waste. That went on to guys collecting black bags, chucking them in the back of the vehicles. This has moved on to what people have at the moment, which is containers and wheel bins, which are used everywhere in the northeast, apart from one authority at the moment, which is Darlington. And the old way of planning these routes was using a stopwatch or an A to Z or a wheel, where you measure the road and you said, okay, there's so many properties on this road. You measure how long it takes the guys using time and motion to empty the bins, and you apply that accordingly using spreadsheets and so on and so forth. And you get some crayons and you draw on some A to Z maps and you build the routes. That's how things used to be done. But things are different now. And over the last year, the region has invested in some software to increase efficiencies within the waste collection services. We've worked with each region's councils to introduce new service routes and improve operational performance. So we'll actually quantify investment on vehicles, so we'll know exactly how many vehicles are required to pick up the waste. And this produces financial savings in fuel and the number of vehicles we need, and also depot costs. We're asking questions like, do you need that many depots to pick up the waste effectively? It also reduces the overall carbon footprint of the refuse collection service. So I was tasked from Newcastle City Council to look at this on a regional basis. We started with a full ODU tender. We tendered for a number of high density routing products, and we decided to use this product called RouteSmart, which is an extension to ArcGIS. So I was tasked to put all the project timescales together and work throughout this project. So we used a workstream approach. We had 6 different work streams. We looked at things like cross-boundary working and how the councils can work more effectively. We looked at how we can share resources, so can we actually share vehicles and depots and facilities over authority boundaries. And the training and mentoring began on the 18th of January 2010 in Durham. I'm going to run through this very quickly. First of all, what is RouteSmart? Okay, it's a GIS-based application. It allows us, with no customer limitation, to ask how much resource we need to do a particular job. So it'll actually balance the workloads between the vehicles. It'll reduce time and mileage. It'll give you the optimized sequence of pickups that are needed in a particular area. It'll tell you how many vehicles you need if you're working an 8-hour day or a 9.5-hour day. You can ask what-if questions, and you can basically model anything based around routes and based around vehicles. It puts all of your GIS related data, such as maps, such as road networks, such as ITN data, all in the one application. Okay. These are just some very basic screenshots. RouteSmart has been developed over the last 25 years. It's an American product from the University of Maryland, and that's where its origins. Basically, we've got layers of information, your background mapping. The ITN data is a road centre line. This contains all of your road routing information, so one-ways, no turns, so on and so forth. And there's actually a link between the road network and the customer. So these are the customers representing in waste management wheel bins. We can select those properties, and we can find out that in those properties selected, there's 0.3 tonnes worth of waste, and it takes 4 minutes and 20 seconds to service those properties, and there's 20 bins. It also provides some network tools, so we can tell the system, in this example, these represent back lane areas. So in areas where there are back lanes, the waste is collected from the back lane. So you tell the system not to drive down the front street, you tell it to go down the back lane, and that's where the servicing will occur. So it's very accurate. It you can also see there that the sort of no turns in the network, so the system knows where the vehicle can and can't go. And these are some of the outputs, things like the sequence, so it'll actually work out the travel paths and produce the travel paths and tell the guys driving, turn left, turn right, and so on and so forth. So you can see where the vehicle should be going. It also gives you various outputs, such as bar charts telling you that it takes so many hours to do so much work. And what you're trying to do is get the balance between these days of collection. Okay, so how have we done it regionally? We've set up an infrastructure, we purchased 10 RouteSmart licenses, and we've hosted it at a data centre outside of all of the local authorities. I didn't want each individual IT section to basically have a bun fight in terms of we want to host this, we don't want to host this. So basically I took it out of the local authority environment. So it's hosted at a data centre actually in Derby. It's accessed through the internet. We've kind of set up our own cloud-based system here, and you can basically log on to that website, put a password in, and you get a full experience of RouteSmart and ArcGIS. All the processing's done on the server side, so it's sort of 4 times faster than a standard PC. And all passwords and things like that are managed by the consultants. There's also a support site, so things like frequently asked questions, how do I do this, how do I do that. There's kind of a small community starting up using this product. There's around about 160 users in the UK who basically ask each other questions and find out about how to use the product. Okay, how do we train everyone? The idea from REAP is always to train people and leave the skills within the organisations. The North East Improvement and Efficiency Partnership's coming to an end at the end of March, and there was a risk that this project would simply come to an end at the end of March. But hopefully people have been trained and they can take their skills on and be supported by the consultants in the future. So we did a 5-day training course, and then we did a 10-day mentoring session with those on the training. And after that mentoring session, we've really got the first draft routes in terms of how many vehicles they need, where the vehicles are going to be working. We've got maps, we've got reports, etc., etc. So we prepare the data for the project. So this is all the ordnance survey data, the LLPG property data. We define back lane areas. We define areas that need small, medium, and large vehicle classifications. And we basically take the work forward. Okay, so that's a photograph there of some work that happened in June. And this slide shows, the $1 million question: how long does it take to empty a bin? We don't simply just say every bin takes 15 seconds to empty, or every bin takes 20 seconds to empty. We've actually done some number crunching and some research using vehicle tracking information. So we put trackers on every single waste management vehicle, 280 of them, and counting. And they basically ping back information every 5 seconds saying, this is where I am, and this is what time it is. Then we used some proximity analysis to count basically the time within each road node. That was divided by the number of customers on that road, and that gave us the amount of time per bin in that particular street. We've processed around about 5 million records in this data, and there's a variation between the amount of time it takes to empty a bin. In a back lane where you've got bins very close to each other, you get around about 10 or 11 seconds per bin. In a detached estate where there's a lot of distance between each individual bin, that can go up to sort of 25 seconds per bin. So there is variation there. Okay, what type of results have we got? I'm going to run through a series of maps which show some of the types of things that we've done. There's a few before and afters there as well. And then I'm going to move on to some mileage data and some cost analysis based on some of the projects that we've finished. So first of all, some maps. One of the first things to do was to do some drive time analysis. Do we need these dots here represent depots, and drive time analysis is between those depots. Do we need these 3 depots in Durham that are fairly close to each other? Probably not. What happens if we take these depots out and run models? Those are the types of things we were asking. Okay, results. We now have sort of very tidy zones of work. These represent work by day. So each day is then split into a number of routes per vehicle. there's a few here for Durham. Each one of these represents exactly the same amount